Hello. So Hyenas has been cancelled. I did not see this one coming. I saw the announcement a couple hours ago, and I'm still kind of just sat here like, wow, like how did this happen? And some of you are going to be sat there thinking, what do you mean, how did it happen? The game was obviously going to get cancelled from the start, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. The game played really well. The people that played it, the majority from what I heard, enjoyed the game. I mean, their Discord has like 20 to 30,000 people in there who are all really disappointed. Tens of thousands of fans across socials. And SEGA says that it blames the decision on low profitability of the European region. So they're blaming just Europeans, I guess, for not being as likely to purchase things like, in-game transactions, skins, cosmetics, things like that, because that's how the game was going to work, I think, with all the cosmetics that game had. I assume it was going to be a free-to-play game with microtransactions. And I look at this headline and I think, you know what, some of it sounds kind of true. Because as a game developer myself, we've ran advertisements in the UK before, and we've ran the same advertisements in the US. And we found that the US is much more likely to be accepting of things like advertisements or play the game. They play for longer periods of time. It's just a bigger thing in general in the US gaming. There's also less laws on what you can do in the US. Like if you capture somebody's data in the US, you can do so much sketchy stuff with that. But the UK heavily has GDPR, which limits what you can do with people's data and things. You can't go on and sell it to another company, for example. So I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but I also sit here and think, hold on, like if you had huge numbers, like I said, I don't know how much that Twitter's got, like maybe 70,000 followers, the 20 to 30,000 in their Discord. If you release a video game and tell 100,000 people that it's out, let's assume that 10% of them go and download it, you've got 10,000 players. Surely the game could have survived. Yeah, it wouldn't have been huge. It wouldn't have been the next, like, CSGO 2 or Apex Legends or the new Call of Duty Battle Royale thing. It would never have been there. I don't think anyone expected it to get there. But Hyenas definitely could have contended, a mid-range spot sitting somewhere between 10 and 15,000 concurrent players. I truly believe that. And there's a lot of people saying that this was quite refreshing and that it was something a little bit different. Yes, it's an extraction shooter, which I think is also probably part of the decision, is extraction shooter was supposed to be like the next big thing, the next fad of the industry. And it seems like people are already done with it, because at the end of the day, it's just Battle Royale, but with a tiny little addition of being able to leave the match early with the loot you've collected and carry it on to the next game. That is the only difference between extraction shooter and Battle Royale. It's such a cheap way of making a new genre. It's just Battle Royale, and I think those are dying now. According to an article by Eurogamer in early August, so not long ago, somebody asked SEGA, how they thought the game was going, and apparently they replied saying that the Hyenas development was challenging, and that they were looking to adjusting the business model of the game. So that could have raised a few eyebrows, I guess. And some people from Creative Assembly were apparently upbeat about the game's chances, but also saying it's a new IP, it's a new genre, and that is definitely challenging. If you ask 10 of the game's developers if they think what they're doing is challenging, 9 would say yes, and the other one would be lying. Again, I can attest to this. Making games is hard, especially a new IP, and especially when you're coming into one of the most saturated genres ever, which is shooter. But yet, still weirdly, people seem to think we need more of them, and there isn't as many around as there could be. I myself agree with this. I've played Halo since I was 8 years old. And Halo is still, to this day, my most played FPS, even though I'm not a huge fan of Halo Infinite. I just find it very, very difficult to pick up a new FPS game. And Hyenas was finally one that I picked up and I was like, I feel very much at home. I can grasp the game very easily. And I enjoy this, and it was very polished as well. It seemed like the game was so far into development, it was maybe only 6 to 8 months away from release, and they just pull the plug like that. So yeah, there's nothing else to say really. I'm a bit upset, and I think a lot of people are also a bit sad on the decision too. This also just goes to show that a game can get pulled at any moment by a publisher. This was not a Creative Assembly decision. This was a SEGA decision. Who are the publishers of the game, the ones funding the money behind it. And the moment you get into bed with an investor or a publisher to help develop your video game, chances are they are equal partners, or in some cases, greedy publishers will also take the majority of your company, and they can just pull the plug whenever they feel like it. And of course, when they're chasing trends and looking at data and things, and they're driven by that, and they're not the ones who are on the day-to-day basis interacting with the players and seeing how they feel, they will just pull something based on data alone. And in a way, we've had this happen to us with our game. We're making a third-person shooter called Cross Planet. It's very much like Halo. It's a shooter. We've had talks with multiple publishers, and we've had multiple back out just because we're in an extremely saturated market, but also with a very niche title. Going third person with an arena shooter is something that hasn't really been done before outside of, say, Gears of War. So dealing with publishers and investors and things is also half the battle as a game developer. I think if the publishers that are sat down, and this is the value that I get as well, when I sit down with the actual players, when I get to play with them and listen to their feedback and things, I can see that I would say 96 to 97% of people that I talk to say, yeah, I enjoy your game. Well, if that percentage of people is enjoying the game, if it's so high, surely it's going to be a success, and that's why we're so confident in our game. But publishers and investors don't look at this. They just look at data and spreadsheets and say, no, financially this isn't going to work. So what Sega does with the money that would have been used to market Hyenas on release, I don't know. Maybe they just go and pump more money into promoting Sonic the Hedgehog in order to make some, recoup some of their losses. That little blue ball carries them through a lot of things, it seems. And yet they won't make a remake of Sonic Adventure 2 or make Sonic Adventure 3, God knows why. Finally, to sign off, if anyone who was on the development team for Hyenas is watching, I know that they've seen my videos before because I was sent codes from the Hyenas team. Thanks to some popular videos on the game. I mean, one of my videos has over 25,000 views, and the other has 17,000, which are the two most popular videos on my channel at this point, I believe, in terms of long format, not including shorts. So I hope the developers at Creative Assembly, I hope you guys, land on your feet, because I'm sure a lot of you are currently in the process of getting laid off. Apparently, according to a couple of articles, the staff were only told about the cancellation on Thursday morning, which is now, literally 12 hours ago. So kind of they found out when we found out almost, probably only a few hours before. So yeah, I hope you guys, land yourselves a job at either another company or working on another Creative Assembly title. Because I know, a lot of layoffs in the game industry affect a lot of developers. Yeah, I hope you guys all do okay. Wish I could offer you some jobs. Unfortunately, I can't. Cross Planet is made entirely as a passion project, so I can't offer any jobs. But if I could, I would. And yeah, that's going to be it. I wish I recorded more gameplay of Hyenas now. I believe I actually had some more clips. Would have been nice to do a... remember Hyenas video in 2 years' time or something and just store that gameplay. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't have any. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to be using for this video. But, yeah. Right, thanks for watching, and goodbye.